sound.
Live from Zoom, it's National Storytellers Night. To be a part of the live Zoom audience, all you have to do is sign up at newwritermedia.com. Best of all, it's free. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Boop. Now, without further ado, here's the meeting. Welcome to National Storytellers Night. Well, unfortunately, it's just going to be me and my guest, Michael Thervil. But before we get to Michael, I want to remind you to, if you want to be a part of the live Zoom audience so that we can actually have people here to ask questions, head over to newwritermedia.com and you can sign up there and become a part of the membership. And remember, it's free. So I also, this is going on to YouTube, to the YouTube channel. So I want to remind everybody, if you haven't subscribed, go over to the National Storytellers Night channel and subscribe. And like I have to say it this way, give this video a thumbs up so we can get it to as many people as we can. Now I want to go and introduce the speaker for today, the presenter for today, and we're gonna go over and talk about some of the stuff that kind of goes on. And I want to from VEDA, was it VEDA or VEDA? VEDA. Yeah, from VEDA. That's right. I've been saying it all week, and
yeah, you get VEDA, but it's VEDA. Yeah,
VEDA. I know you say it all week, and I'm like, it's VEDA, it's VEDA, it's VEDA, and then you get here, and it's like, is it VEDA? Is it so? So I want to welcome from VEDA Magazine, Michael Thervil.
You got it.
I got it. Hey, sometimes when things happen, you gotta kind of figure out other ways.
You do.
So to also let people know in this, and this is gonna be something that I think that Michael and I might talk about for a little bit before we really get started into his presentation, because one of the things that we experienced tonight was National Storytellers Night. I always open up the conversation early. I try to open it up early so that people can come in and talk and kind of network. It's mostly for photojournalists to come in here and connect, and that's kind of what we hope for before the meeting starts. We had some people that came in and did some very inappropriate stuff, taking over the screen, doing really mean, nasty stuff. And the one thing that really broke my heart was, my guest tonight is a Black male, and in the world of photojournalism, there's not a lot of diversity. And I thought, well, here's a chance to have someone on with some diversity. We want different perspectives from different eyes, from different people out there. And, Michael, how as a person of a minority person, especially in the world of photojournalism and journalism, in fact, how do you get when something like that happens?
I don't get anything. I never take anything personal. This is America. People have a right to free speech. And with that right to free speech, which is very important to us journalists and photojournalists, is that you're going to deal with people who are going to have opposing views. You're going to have people who are going to say mean, crazy things, and they have an absolute right to say those things. However, they do not have a right to control me with those negative things. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, so absolutely.
When you have a little bit of the good, you got a little bit of the bad, and you got to take just as much as you take the good, you got to be able to take the bad. Mm-hmm. And tonight we had some bad, we take it and we learn from it, we push on. And I would always urge people, never give the negativity any shine. Don't do it. because when you do that, you only invite more negativity.
Hmm. Oh, I agree with that. And again, it's you. In some ways, you would think that in 2024, the things that we experienced in the 1960s, and the deep racism, you would think that it's changed over the years, but it really hasn't. And
And I would say that it will not.
hmm
I do. It's not that I'm a negative person or anything like that. I'm not a pacifist or anything, but
hmm
I do understand that people will be people.
hmm
And as a sociologist, I can tell you that racism, bigotry, and things like that nature are socially conditioned into people based upon their environment. And you can see it as early as 7 years old, 5 years
yeah.
old. You know what I mean?
hmm
And it's not my job to feel sorry for those people. It's my job to take those people as they are.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? And if I can steer clear of them, and anyone can steer clear of them, steer clear of them. If that's something that you don't believe in.
Well, and an interesting thought too, because it's like we both also as journalists we fight for the First Amendment,
We do, and I have
and
to fight for theirs.
yeah, and we have to fight for theirs as much as we fight for our own, and as much as
Correct.
we don't like it, and it's not appropriate, and it's not okay. It's not okay to hate other people. Unfortunately, we have to protect it, and that's kind of hard for journalists. And
It is. It can be considered a conflict of interest, maybe, but again, that's what professionalism dictates that you must be able to do. It's part of those ethics that we have over at the NPPA with the National Press Photographers Association, which I'm a part of. We have those written in our ethics. You
mhm.
know, so it's okay. That's life.
Yeah.
This is America.
Well, I applaud your resilience to this, and you know, uh,
It's okay.
we're gonna go over and see more stuff. We're gonna get past this and really get into why we do this, which is all about the photography and all about the
Let's
journalism,
do it.
and
Let's do
so
it.
let's again, VEDA magazine. What so I'm gonna just go to the next slide here,
Yeah,
and
let's look it up.
yeah. So tell me a little bit more about yourself. How did you
Okay, let's
get
get
to where you're
into
going?
this because how did I begin? How did I get into photojournalism? I was not the best kid on the block. Okay. I wasn't like absolutely bad, you know what I'm saying? But I wasn't absolutely good either. And so my mom, when she get upset with me, she'd tell me, you need to go write lines. Like Bart Simpson on the board writing lines. That was like me in Catholic school. You know what I mean? Like writing lines. And one weekend she says, you gotta write this 500 times, 500 times, and I said, okay. And what happened was I started to find peace in that. I started to find peace in writing lines. And pretty soon my mom kind of caught on that I would just have my headphones on because everybody sees me when I'm working behind the camera, got headphones on. It comes all the way back from that. So I have my headphones on and I'm just writing lines. Not that I'm even actually paying attention to what I'm writing, but it was just so calming, so soothing for me to write. You know what I'm saying? And so that's where that started. And being behind the camera, I've always used to watch movies and stuff like that and wonder how did they shoot that and like how did they I didn't know it at the time, but color grading and different things like that I didn't know, and I was just always a fan of it, you know what I mean? And so when I finally got a chance to get a camera, right, I put it down because I felt like nah, this is not, I don't think I'm ready. But here's a funny story, man. It's very funny. um, I had got my first professional camera. When I mean professional, you're spending about $1,300-$1,500 for a professional camera.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of talked myself into doing this fashion show. I'm a huge fashion person, you know what I mean? And so I had my money, and then I finally went over to the store to pick up the camera. By the way, I went to YouTube University.
You know how much?
I did for a week. For a week, I talked myself in. I didn't even have a camera. And then so I went to pick up this camera. I had my little $1,400 in my hand, and I gave it to the guy at the Humble Camera Exchange here in Texas, in Humble. And I said, I want a 90D, right? It's Canon 90D. And he says, you want a 90D? I said, yes, I want a 90D. Give it to me, right? So he gives me this camera. I pay for it, and I take it out the box, and I look at it, and I look at him, and I say, so how you turn it on? I didn't know how to turn it on. I had no idea what I was doing. It was a professional grade. Well, it was an entry level professional grade camera at the time. I didn't know anything, and I had the fashion show the next day. And I'm at this fashion show. I'm trying to play it off, look cool, you know. I'm actually Googling how to work this camera in manual at this show, and lo and behold, I actually pull it off. And ever since then, I just kind of been behind my camera every day, every single day till I have what I have now.
Mm-hmm. And so with your mom doing that to you, and then you buying the first camera, I mean, and even doing that first shot, how do you go from doing not knowing how to operate a camera to now running a magazine?
I would say this much here. Every single day, they say it takes 10,000 hours, and I'm still not like where I want to be. I don't think anyone is if you're serious about your craft.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But every single day, I worked. I would come home. I would shoot before work. I would edit, do something. I would even do it while I was at work. This was something that I always said I wanted to do, and I had that opportunity to do it. So every chance I got, I shot and or edited something. I don't care if it was paper clips, rocks, models. I don't care. Cars, I shot it. Because even today, I will go back to some of the very early photos and I will go and just play with color grading with that just to see how fast I can do something and render something that's worth something. You see what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so we're fast forwarding. So I have a colleague. He's not here right now. I have a colleague who helped me start this magazine. We're both veterans, right? I'm Fort Bragg. He was, I think, Fort Stewart. I want to say something like that. And we shot together one day.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're in the military and you get out, no matter how much time you spent in, it stays with you.
Mm-hmm.
The work ethic, how you move, it stays with you. And so we're out there shooting, and we don't know this. And it's police officers looking at us. They say, "Hey, moving kind of tactical around here." You know what I mean? They was on, and I was like, "What you talking about?" And he says, "Y'all look too good together. Are you guys together?" It was like, "We just met today." He says, "You guys work together. You good. You're good." And so my partner comes on and he says, "Hey man, we need to start a magazine." I wanted to start a magazine before, but I just didn't do it. I'm a little nervous about it. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And we set up an LLC and we just hammered down, and I built the website from the ground up, and he handled the things on the back end. And so, that's how we do it.
So now it was started off with just you two. Is there any other
Yes,
photographers or?
I have. Well, we have. Let me be very factual about that. I have one freelancer in Philadelphia. She just came on maybe like 2 weeks ago. She's a little slow with the writing, but I give her the platform so she can get better, like so she can do this. And I had a photo shoot with a young lady. Um, oddly enough, like I say, it's more than just simple photojournalism. She
Mm-hmm.
does like adult stuff, right?
Okay.
So my job is to contact me and contract me out for that work. And I had such a wonderful time shooting her, talking to her, and come to find out she wants to get it. I didn't know she wanted to get into journalism.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I tell you what, why don't you just come and write? You know what I mean? It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
cost you nothing. Just come and write. You get to establish yourself and you can go on and spread your wings and fly from there. I don't care where you go, right?
Mm-hmm.
No strings attached here, And so that's what we're looking for. So,
So
um,
in a lot of ways, it's kind of like with her, you're doing almost going back to the traditional way of learning journalism is
yeah,
by doing. That's
that's the
how.
only way to do it.
Yeah,
I you can sit down. I can give you a book on how to swim,
mm-hmm.
right? And you can study that book for 2 years. I'll
Mm-hmm.
put you in a pool full of 8 feet worth of water, and you'll probably drown because
Mm-hmm.
you never went through the motions to go through the repetitions to develop the muscles and muscle memory to swim. That's how it works.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's go to the next slide. Is it are we did we
No,
get
no, you
everything
can
on
go
this?
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Let's go to the next slide. So what's this devil's advocate?
Okay,
Like,
so we're looking at a 10th man rule. All right, and it's devised by Israel in response to poor planning for the 1973 Yom Kippur War. And what it is if there are 10 people in a room and all 9 people agree, it is the job of the 10th man to disagree, no matter how obscure the disagreement is on the negative.
Mhm.
That's how you keep balance. You see what I'm saying? So
Yes.
I use that same rule or principle here at VEDA Magazine, whereas I could see what's going on with the Israeli and Palestinian and Hamas war. I can see that, right?
Right.
Everybody on this side of the pond, they're rooting for Israel, right?
Right.
I'm not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Not
you
because
coming
I
from the
feel,
idea of what about the Palestinian? What about
well,
the
what about
Palestinians?
them?
Yeah. Is that kind
Well,
of where you're going? Like, kind of like, you may not be rooting for for Israel.
I'm not
But
rooting for anyone because that would make me biased, and that's not part of the ethics of, you know, the PPA. That's not what we do. However, I do look at both sides of an argument, and the mainstream corporate news is pushing one agenda. They really are, right? Top three, they're
mm,
going to do it.
yep.
My job is to look at that and see what the other side is saying to give a counterbalance. Those scales have to be balanced. Everybody is not doing the right thing. I'm not saying Hamas was right. I'm not saying that Israel was right. No, that's not what we're doing. What we're simply saying here is how did it get here and how can we keep those scales level? So, for instance, what they didn't tell you was how we got so many dead Palestinians. We got so many dead Palestinians because they were using AI. They didn't say that.
Wow.
It's called lavender,
Uh-huh.
right? So lavender dictate that its acceptable casualty loss is 5 people for one. So they say, okay, well, what if we catch this one quote unquote Hamas or terrorist or whatever they want to designate this person as at a family dinner at home? So they just bombed the house. So now instead of getting that one indiscriminate person, they bombed, got 5. Well, that 5 quickly turned into what, 30,000, right?
Mhm.
And then you got another 80,000 wounded because of that there in the vicinity. Well, when the news that they were using AI, Lavender, to do this, they still had another 32,000 people on the hill on the kill list. So my job is to
Wow.
say, this is what the mainstream media is reporting,
Mm-hmm.
but this is what's actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be a balance.
Mm-hmm.
So neither side is right.
So you're going back to the way journalism is supposed to be, which
It's
is
supposed to be.
you're supposed to look at both sides. It's not
You
supposed
have
to
to.
be like, many uh, stories would have to be balanced.
They
If you're
have
going
to
to
be,
say
but
one side, you have to get the other side too.
you do. But unfortunately, because of
Mm-hmm.
advertising dollars, they are starving for advertising dollars. Why are they starving? Because people like you, people like Kevin Samuels, people like I don't know the Beast, Mr. Beast on
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. You guys get a bigger audience any day of the week than they ever could on any night of the week.
Oh yeah.
You do.
Oh yeah.
And so if you look at that and you see what YouTube has done, because I remember when YouTube, you could see a beheading on YouTube back in the day. I've seen it.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
You don't see it now. Why? Because those advertising dollars say, hey, if you want our money, you're gonna have to do this.
Well, you can't even now on YouTube, you can't swear one
Nope.
bit, because if you swear, then it demonetizes everything. I
Correct.
mean, I'm
And
lucky right now here. This has not yet gone into monetizing, but yeah, I mean, at that point, I have to decide for this. Do I want to make money from YouTube and make them like listen to what they're telling me that I have to do, or
right.
do I want to I want to be able to give the voice to every photographer that comes in here?
Correct.
And you know what? Photographers, we swear, you know?
We do. I mean, trust me. I mean, I don't when I'm on the set, but when
Right.
I get home,
Well, when we're, come on, when you're in the dark, well, okay, there's
yeah,
no dark room anymore, but I mean, when you're with, when you're with your colleagues and you're in when you're in a situation, there's a little bit of swearing that goes on around.
it
And,
is.
and it's not at all because, we're trying to be offensive. It's just, that's the way people talk to each other. And,
Correct.
you know, and just for like a little thing like that, and YouTube saying, well, we're not going to give you, none of our advertisers are going to give you any money, and so you're not going to make any money off of off of your channel.
And if you look at what's going on, that is a violation of free speech.
Absolutely, it is, and
It is.
I think there's a lot of things like, oh, get me started on social media, because even though I'm using a lot of social media to to promote my stuff, when you have stuff like Facebook that's shutting down stuff left and right, just because they don't agree with it,
Correct. It's
you
the
know.
advertising dollars. And this is why VEDA is so important because I do not allow any censorship on the platform.
And I applause to you, because like that is the number one thing that I think that as journalists we really are fighting
We
is.
are, and it's a losing battle. Unfortunately, to say that, like New York Times were cutting away people, laying folks off. LA
Mhm,
Times laying folks off. You know what I mean? Not necessarily because of censorship, but just the fact that your times are changing.
mhm,
Photojournalism is going to, well, journalism in general is going almost the same way as photography. As I
mhm,
spoke with a photographer over at the MLS game for the Houston Dynamo Dash, she's been shooting since 1982.
mhm,
I was born in 1982.
mhm,
And I love this woman. She tells me all the information, the timeline of photography from 82 until now. And she
mhm,
says it's almost like they're trying to tell us they don't need us anymore.
mhm. Yeah. Oh, definitely. And I know that's one of our fighting battles as journalists. And
Yeah.
and I will say that this, one of the reasons why I created this meeting and why I've been trying to do podcasts for so long is that I wanted to show, people accuse journalists of being biased and being unethical, but there's a
It's
lot of
that
us that aren't.
it's a
And
lot of us that aren't, and it's a lot of bosses that push no matter how subtle, right? The
mhm,
journalist to say it like this. If you can kind of change it around, we got to kind of make, those guys happy. You know what
right.
I mean?
Hmm.
But I'll tell you something that we don't talk about enough is all the dead journalists.
I know. Yeah.
Over 100 dead in Gaza, most of them
Mhm.
Palestinian journalists.
Well, you look even on American soil. I mean, there
Yeah,
journalists are being
there were car bombing.
photojournalists. I mean, we when photojournalists are running around trying to cover an event, carrying like 3-4 grand worth of equipment,
Yep,
and that makes you a target already. And
it
then
does.
and then because sometimes you're photographing something that people don't want photographed,
Yeah,
then you're a target then, because like you got a
yes,
picture
bro.
of, I mean, we got a picture of Donald Trump doing something stupid, and it's like, well, of course
Yeah,
we're gonna run it, and he's gonna, so I mean, it's always been like my thing is, as far as journalism goes, we've got to fight the censorship, and we've
we do,
got,
and it starts with our platforms.
yeah,
I don't care what anybody says. It starts with us, and reminding them, heavenly reminding them that this is where you once started. Don't forget where you come from.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm gonna go to the next slide here. So, oh yeah, we talked about the code of ethics, and
I have to put it down, not only because I'm a member, but because I think everybody needs to know and see this.
mhm, yeah,
One of my big thing is the manipulation of photographs.
oh
Like
yeah,
I don't, yes, you want to go for sharpness, color correction, that's
mhm.
fine. But when you start doing compositories, it's different.
Well, another thing that's scary right now is AI.
It is in a way that no one actually really truly owns
Hmm.
AI like that. But there is some joy in it. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
If you need a quick image because you just can't get somewhere, but you need something, right?
Right.
That's okay. I can see that. You know what I mean? But when you get to manipulating to the point where they're reporting it on the 5 o'clock news that the Pentagon got hit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that.
Right.
That's fake news being bought by mainstream corporate news
Hmm.
as real.
Right.
So that's an existential threat to journalism. And it
Absolutely.
really hurts our credibility that we didn't check and verify. the source.
Absolutely.
So
And
the
it,
question would be, how many sources did we not check and verify?
yeah. And then it becomes, and that it goes back to, yeah, exactly like what you said, the credibility of journalism,
Yep,
and that's what we have to fight. That's one of the things that as journalists, we all have to fight that to show we're not, that we're trying to tell the story. We're trying to tell the story the way it needs to be told.
correct.
Go to the next one.
These are pretty much just the code of ethics, and I'm quite sure people can go on the website and they can check that out. I just
Yeah.
put it up in there.
But it's something that, every photojournalist either follows or should follow.
Yeah, and in fact, every journalist that I've had the privilege to run into, whether they're for NBC, Fox, or
Mhm.
CBS, because I stand right alongside them here, right in Houston, I've seen them follow the ethics. I have.
Uh-huh.
Now, I don't know what goes on when they get back to the office or the journal room or whatever, but when they're out in the field with me, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's like this. Geopolitics. Geopolitics is something that's very important to me because as a kid, my father, um, he would watch the news. He would watch the news on 2, 3 TV screens. And I thought it was lame. We'll go outside and we'll do something else. But he would always say, Michael, you have to watch the news. You have to watch the news.
Hmm.
Just tell you everything that's going on in the world. Uh, Point of personal privilege. I didn't know my father couldn't read until 4 years ago. He's 70 something years old. Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
Okay.
But geopolitics is important.
It
Geopolitics
is.
it helps us understand how the world is shaped, right?
Hmm.
Like right here. Even though Mayor Whitmire is a local mayor, he doesn't have anything to do necessarily with geopolitics. It's just politics here in
Right.
Houston. But to understand why people are fighting, why certain things and alliances are being formed. Like right now, the Pacific is going to be the next hotbed for war. I'm gonna tell you that off the top. We're
Yeah.
moving away from Ukraine. Ukraine's done. They lost. Russia won. Israel is going to do whatever they want to do. They're not going to really listen to what America has to say. In fact, they demonstrated that today when Biden just gave them another $1 billion.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
So we already know what the outcome for those are. Right now, we're focusing on the Pacific. What's going on in the Pacific? We're looking at the war, the economic trade war that's going on with China right now
Yeah.
and Taiwan.
Hmm.
You know, and so those things that happen in the Pacific or whatever transfers back to here because we're now going to have to pay more.
Right.
That's what that means.
Yeah.
We're going to have to pay more.
Hmm.
And when people have to pay more and the wages don't coincide with the payments that you have to pay because it's increased, we got a problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. The next
I
one.
like to call it the political chessboard. I
It
like to
absolutely. It absolutely is because I mean, yeah.
in our entertainment section, anything that people will find entertaining, I'll punch it in or something like that. I, for the record, I'm a big fan of football, or you call soccer here. Um, it's not that I don't like the Astros or the MLB. I just think that it is a slow, agonizing game
Mhm.
that if you're behind a camera, I have to take aspirin
You
before I
know,
shoot.
I have to give props to those that can actually photograph baseball. I
Yeah.
could never do it.
Why?
I was terrible at it because
No,
it's
it's easy.
boring.
Yes, yes, it is. Yes.
I would much. I mean, I would much rather. I'm a hockey. Personally, I'm a hockey fan, so I would
Hockey
prefer
is
to.
good.
Would love to go photograph more hockey games.
Yeah.
Um, growing up in the Bay Area because I grew up in San Jose.
Uh-huh.
In the we have the Sharks and but not only that, but it's we've got the Giants, the A's. Well, no, the A's no more, but and the 49ers
Okay.
and the Golden and the Warriors. You look at like all the big kind of the big four sports, and always my favorite to photograph has always been hockey and basketball.
Yes, I can see that. Hockey full of action. I never got
Yeah.
a chance to shoot, but I did go to one hockey game while I was in the military, and I gotta say, it is not cold in the rink for those
Nope.
that are wondering. It is a
No.
comfortable atmosphere, and you should go. When it
Uh-huh.
comes to basketball, I'm shooting TSU, Texas Southern University basketball team, and
Uh-huh.
all of those sports or whatever, right? It's a fast-paced game.
Mm-hmm.
Don't think you're gonna fill the frame on
Nope.
that.
Mm-mm.
Shooting wide may be your best
Mm-hmm.
friend, but it is a
Exactly.
good game.
And it's like, and it's shooting in the middle too. It's not necessarily
Yeah,
shooting at the basket. And, it's them getting the score. It's like the battles that are in the middle of the court.
yeah.
That's the good stuff. Because I remember when I went to go photograph my first basketball game, my first
Mhm.
well, it was my first like college basketball game. Um, I was used to in high school when I was when I was doing photography, I was used to that, oh, get the pictures like under the hoop, and you got the big old arms going up and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at Sports Illustrated. And I was looking through Sports Illustrated, and I'm like, all of their photographs are like mid court, and
Mhm.
them fighting over a ball. I'm like, okay, well, instead of photographing that, let me photograph that. And there's like, and honing in on that action and more like following the ball than it was like waiting for the score,
Mhm.
and knowing that that's some of the best action is right there, right in front of you.
Yes, yes. And again, I urge all photographers, no matter the type, shoot different things. Shoot things
Mm-hmm.
that you're not good at. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? That's what makes you not only well-rounded, it helps you to be able to shoot better in manual on the fly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. Unless there's something like a NASCAR event where you have to do like aperture priority or something like that, which I only shoot manual.
Right.
I've
Mm-hmm.
never been on auto anything, no matter what
Yeah.
I was shooting. I just enjoyed the challenge. I guess I not only the challenge more specifically of being able to troubleshoot
Mm-hmm.
on the fly.
Yeah.
I like that.
It makes you think faster too.
It does, it does. It really does. So now it gets to the point where I can go somewhere. It doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm like, okay, the ISO is going to be this.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I get a good rough estimate. I may have to make a couple tweaks here and there,
Mm-hmm.
but outside of that, I good.
Yeah. That's a lot of the same things that people would do when it was film. Is
Yeah.
they got so used to like looking at the line, go, it's F16,
Yep.
whatever, whatever. And, the Sunny 16 rule, and
Yeah.
going like, okay, that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, uh, and I happen to be old enough to shoot a shot uh with film, so I totally get that.
Listen, I
Uh,
wish I could go back and shoot film. I missed that.
you
I have
know,
not had the opportunity to do so.
it's interesting because I've run into a couple. We've run into a couple of photographers who've come on here and come in that have been a part of the meeting part,
Okay.
and talked about like, oh yeah, I still use film. And I'm like, you still use film? Like,
Mm.
really? You still use film?
Well,
And
I'll tell you, it's a little bit of not only the nostalgia, but the character, what
it
they bring.
is. You cannot get that with digital.
It's too clean.
Uh-huh. Absolutely. You don't get the grain at
Mhm.
all, which is what I miss. I used to shoot a lot of things times I used to do photography with 3200 T Max
Okay.
film. And like I remember doing that in college in my at my community college, and a lot of people thought I was crazy. I'm like, no, like I would rather go in and go into a room and use available light and try to get a really cool photograph. And then
Right.
instead of just trying to, throw a flash on and, especially having the flash like right over your camera and, harsh shadows and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, why don't I just use the available light?
Right. Right.
And
Because
sometimes
everything doesn't require a flash.
mm-mm, it doesn't. And sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. But for the most part,
I,
you can do it without a flash.
I would say that I think that sometimes I think that we as photographers in general, we start to look the same,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to flash. We start looking the same. After a while, it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
give me something else. And I think that one key thing would be, again, like you were saying, shooting without flash.
Yeah. Turning it off. Like it's really, I think now, even with digital now, it's so much easier to turn the flash off. I mean, just using the phone, my Apple
Yeah.
phone, and I keep the flash off and try to shoot stuff. try to take pictures of stuff with the flash off and just the available light.
Yeah,
And
and that's how you start learning and memorizing settings
mhm.
for sure.
That's also where you start looking at the light, at where the light's falling and how it's falling.
Mm-hmm.
You start really observing, like, oh, that light, that's a great window light coming in, or that's a great, that really is a good photograph because the light's like beaming down just right.
And I'm actually, speaking of light, I'm gonna actually turn my light on because I'm sitting here facing the window. Um, like got my face and then nothing else here. All right, so maybe this kind of helps a little
There we
bit.
go.
I look like Darth Vader.
Well,
There you go.
no. um, let's go to the next one. Okay, culture.
Okay, so culture consists of the values, beliefs, systems, language, communication, and practices that people share in common and that can be used to define them as a collective culture. It also includes the material objects that are common to that group or society. My local Family Dollar. It tells you a lot. It tells you about the socioeconomic conditions, not only within that community, but around the country.
Mhm.
Right now, theft is so high and crime is so high in neighborhoods where they have Family Dollars, they're shutting it down because they can't keep up with the amount of shrink or loss because of theft.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, more people are shopping at Family Dollar or dollar type stores just to feed their families
Mm-hmm.
more than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
And that social economic indicator lets us know that these jobs are not paying what they're supposed to pay people, that the economy is in trouble. Anytime you have someone who's making, who's used to making at least what, $75,000, $80,000 in a place like Houston, Texas, which
Uh-huh.
that is an exorbitant amount of money for Houston, Texas,
Uh-huh.
right? They're shopping at the dollar store to tell you something's wrong.
Right.
Mate, sit. So that tells us a lot about that. And then we look at those things. When it comes to beauty,
Mm-hmm.
the beauty standards is something that I hold to as a fashion photographer,
Mm-hmm.
as a photographer in general, when I have especially people in front of my camera. There are unspoken rules that people do not like to hear, like weight, when it comes to especially women that don't like to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm to the point where for fashion, I don't shoot anybody past a size 4. If I
Wow.
shoot a 6, it's for a reason. And why is it that way? Am I traditional in thinking? Yes. But the real reason why models exist is because they are something to us to ascribe to be.
Right.
You look up to models. I'm about to call them role models. Michael Jordan, a role model. Kobe Bryant, role model. What do
Right.
they do? 500 shots a day?
Mm-hmm.
You aspire to be like these people that you admire. So everyone is not going to reach that level of excellence. Everybody's not going to reach those industry standards, whatever the industry standards may be in your industry. That's
Mm-hmm.
why we have models.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So in the fashion world, yes, I'm a little bit more strict than that. However, I do, like the young lady that we just pulled in now, yes, she can write about things outside of my particular standards because, you got to kind of have that alternative approach.
Mm-hmm.
But those are just some of the things that if people decide as a photojournalist to write about, those are just some of the industry standards that they expect you to know. They expect you to know legacy brands. They
Right.
expect you to know what's tradition, what's in season, what's not. You know what I mean? Those are things that you have to know if you're going to talk about fashion.
Right.
Interviewing people, I do like interviewing people, especially politicians.
Mm-hmm.
I love to interview politicians, man. Sit down and just talk to them, pick their brain. Um, your job is to collect information and verify it, and then cross-reference it to other sources,
Mm-hmm.
right? You want to go beyond just simple asking closed-ended questions. Oftentimes, you need to actually conduct research on your own before you talk to that particular person, because one thing you don't want to do is offend them,
Absolutely.
especially if it's an international politician. using active listening skills and an ability to maintain the flow and focus of the conversation and interview at hand, but at the same time, being able to hone in as you're taking in information and derive a question based upon what they're just telling you. The number one person I know that was good with that was Barbara Walters.
Uh-huh.
She was excellent at it.
Mm.
Whatever she asked you and you responded may not have been in the script, but she was able to get a secondary question or even a third question out of you outside of the script and still have an excellent interview, almost like it was off the cuff,
Mhm. Well,
effortlessly.
and for photojournalists, really, I don't think enough photojournalists understand, or a lot. I don't know if a lot of um journalists really understand that. Really, it's important for photographers to ask questions too,
It is.
because I mean, how do we get the right photograph if we don't ask those
Yeah,
questions?
this is absolutely true. Being able to not be shy. A
Right.
lot of times, photographers will kind of quote unquote hide behind the camera.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Maybe they could see that as their safe haven, so to speak.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But I would urge them to step out of their comfort zone when it comes to stuff like that.
I think really when a photographer, not just like with interviewing, I don't know if we have any more of these slides that this will touch on, but um as a photographer, like relationship is important.
It is. Everything is
Yeah.
built upon the relationships.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have that relationship with, with whoever, like who police, your subject, whoever your subject is that you're trying to tell a story of, you need to be able to show them that you're a person and like kind of break that down, and you're not just like a camera that's pointed at them, but
Correct.
sometimes it means putting the camera down and just
Yeah.
talking to the people, and sometimes you can get the best picture that way.
Yeah.
I know one time, and sometimes you get the right picture, because I'm sure like a lot of photographers will see this, will have been on an assignment where you're sent to this place that you go and you're taking pictures of it, and you find out that it's all set up for you.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, wait a second, when is this actually going to happen? Because that's where I want the photograph at, not
Right.
what you're pretending to do right now.
The pre-staging is like what I
Uh-huh.
like to call it. Pre-staging. Yeah.
Exactly. And that, again, that comes from the photographer being able to ask the questions like, oh, so what is going to happen? So even like kind of getting an idea of what's going to happen in front of you. And
True
then you
story.
find, okay,
True story. 'Cause I want to piggyback off that. I think that the nervousness of asking penetrating questions. True story. Do you remember the young lady that I was telling you about?
right.
So she shoots adult content, and she is sweet as pie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the car with her on an interview, and I shoved the camera in her face, and I asked her this real penetrating question. And the average person, I think, would be nervous to ask her what I asked her in the
Uh-huh.
interview, you know. And I think it's getting over that hump. So the more photographers ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
the more comfortable they are, the more easily it flows, and the better the receiving of information comes out of that.
Well, I think it's also like that, the instant journalist that pops out of you when you see something and you're like, huh, like I want to know more information about that. Like, what
Yeah,
do you mean you're
yeah,
doing this? What do you mean you're doing that? Like, what do
yeah,
you mean that's, I think when something happens in front of a journalist, it's more about like what, like you, it's hard to know, it's hard to describe like why that feeling that you get. So you're going
yeah,
like, this might be a story. And then you start asking those penetrating, the penetrating questions that nobody else would probably ever ask. But you're like, well,
it was. Are we PG here?
you know what? I don't care if we're monetized. So you can go.
I care. I care about your pockets. I want you to get your money.
Well,
We were,
I'm hoping
we
down
were
the road that I can get like independent advertisers and stuff like that, and just like, hey, if
okay.
you want. So no, but go as close as you can. Don't go over, but
Um,
keep me a PG.
because
So
I
it's
only
a
had a
little bit
little
swearing.
snippet because I couldn't show it all because the rest went to OnlyFans. I have to ask. I say, so like, how many gangbangs did you do? and she says about 13 or 15. I was like,
And
all
then
right.
I can even imagine the questions that come after that. You're like,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know,
because
like how
man,
did I mean, I can just imagine the questions that come up after that. Like, how do
yeah,
people find out about this? Well, like, like, how many guys are there? Are there other guys? Like,
yeah,
you even like the questions that you're like, you get to a certain point where you're like, forget the whether it's appropriate or not. I want to get down to where it actually is what it's
yeah,
really about. So it's like, well, you get those little nitty, even the details. So I
yeah.
totally feel you. I would be the same way, being like, you do what? You've been in
I'm
how
saying,
many?
like non-conventionally, outside of politicians and entertainers, like regular people. When you have conversations with regular people,
Uh-huh.
it's like magic, man. You get
Oh,
all kind of information. And what I discover is people love to tell you about themselves because they
uh-huh.
don't have anybody that will listen to them.
Everybody has a story.
Story.
Everybody has a story. And it's
Yep.
up to journalists to find that story. So,
Absolutely
you
true.
know, everybody has a why. Everybody has a why they do what they do. And it's up to journalists and photojournalists to find that what
Yep.
and why they do it and how they do it. And like, and it's all up to us. Then not only is it up to us, but I think it's ingrained in us
It is.
because I mean, you hear, I'm sure, like, again, you hear someone that's been, have been in 13 gangbangs, and you're like, what? Like,
Yeah.
okay, like, I want to know more. And it's not like I don't want to hear it. I don't want to, like,
It's just intriguing. It's like,
it does.
who
It
does
becomes
that? Like, who does that?
right, right. But that's the thing. That's what we're trying to find out. Like,
Yeah.
who does this stuff?
Yeah. What's on the next one?
I don't know, but that was,
Man,
uh,
listen. I've heard a lot of stuff in the little time that I've been doing this for the magazine, reporting ethics writing. These are just like to-dos,
right,
when it comes to reporting ethics writing, digital journalism skills, things that I think that if anyone is interested in journalism or photojournalism, things you need to know.
right. We'll go through these kind of fast.
It's okay.
Investigating reporting. And it's interesting talking about social media and video
Yes.
journalism skills
And
and
which we did. We touched on it.
uh-huh.
If we none of those slides were ever in existence, this slide and the next one is like the core of what you needed to have or know, as if you're even if you're just simply behind the camera.
Right.
Always be mobile. I don't carry a whole lot of equipment on me. I ain't gonna lie, I carry a 50, 17 by 40, 70 by 200, and 100 mil macro,
Mm-hmm.
all professional glass, L glass, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I carry with me every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what I am.
I mean, we got that photograph of you, the big, huge
You know what that was shot
lens.
at?
Where?
That was shot at a T-Mobile store.
Oh, really?
I was opening a business account with T-Mobile,
And
which
just,
they're very good, by the way.
yeah. Okay, we're gonna get into some of your photography.
Let's go. Let me say this, okay? She is a fantastic young lady. She is very talented. She is sweet as pie. But this young lady is the young lady that I was just telling you about.
Really?
I love her to death. And
Uh,
this is just shot over the weekend. The one that's on the right with the glasses looking up, That's when she had a little adult scene in the stairwell. Turned around the next day, went to a modeling casting call and got the part. She is
Wow.
that good.
Wow.
Yeah. On this next one with the firefighters, we were driving and it was an apartment fire. And I said, I gotta get it.
Mhm.
Park the truck on the side of the road, put the hats on, kick out, boom. We're right there in the midst of it. And what I love about it, this is what I love about it. It's the atmosphere. You're there, the flames are going, it's
Mhm.
hot. You're probably gonna have some kind of lung cancer when you finish because everything's burning. You know
Right.
what I mean? And the radios are crackling and they're trying to scatter and stuff like
Mhm.
it. It was an awesome scene, man. I tell people all the time, if you can find it, shoot it.
Yeah.
Baseball games.
Uh-huh.
I love shooting. These were done on a 400 mil at Minute Maid Park where the Astros play.
Right.
I love the shots, love the action shots, keep them clean, keep them beautiful. This was another game at the Minute Maid Park Astros for the Texans.
Okay.
Yeah, you see on the news right now. Same
Mhm.
game. Dash on the lower left. It's all
Uh-huh.
about the action shots here. The next one features who is that? That is Congressman Al Green and not the singer.
Okay.
Right. This was done at a protest for HISD schools, Houston Independent School District. They got took over by the state and they are not happy to this day.
Huh.
Yeah. The guy on the left, that is the new mayor of Houston, Texas. Now, personally, I prefer Mayor Turner, but he can't run again. But this guy looks like he's about the business. I love this shot because it's clean.
Right.
On
That's
the
shooting
right, hmm?
shooting with a telephoto and
That was 70 by 200.
so okay, yeah. Well, the 200.
Yep, 70 by 200. This one, outside of the same day, the Palestinian protest was going on. So they were out there protesting. This is interesting because you got him when he was running against Sheila Jackson Lee. And again, I told you I love just politics in general. I actually called his win. I knew he was going to win.
Uh-huh.
First person to punch the article in for local news.
Wow.
Who we got? And that's just
Yeah.
a general mural that was, I just thought it was beautiful just to see the kids and
Mhm.
the diversity and the colors and what that particular mural meant for the Houston Dynamo. You see it right outside of the stadium when you go pay for your tickets. I got to shoot there twice this week on Friday, Saturday. It's an awesome place to be.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna and share, and we're gonna get a little bit more like we're heading towards the end of the podcast.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Usually, I'm gonna tell you. Yeah. Usually, this is about where I would have my live Zoom audience start asking you guys questions because you and I have been talking pretty well during the
Yeah.
presentation. So yeah, I would be reaching out to the live Zoom audience, but since we had to make this last minute change, we don't have any of them here. But again, if you're watching the video, well, obviously you guys are gonna be watching the video. Head over to newwritermedia.com. There you can sign up and be a part of the live Zoom audience, and then you can ask questions. You
Yeah.
can ask Michael questions. You can ask our next presenter questions. Just come, show up, and be kind. You know? So I have to say that because we had rude people
Yeah.
coming in here and
Don't worry about it.
had to kick
We
them
are
all
way
out.
past that, man.
I
We are
know.
way past that.
You
Yeah.
come in here and you're rude, you're kicked out. I'm
That's how it
sorry.
goes.
So we're down to the final five.
Okay.
So the first one is what when you're out on an assignment, what is the one motto, quote, saying that goes through your head that helps keep you motivated?
Do not confuse movement with progress.
Good.
A lot of people who do a lot of things, but they don't go anywhere.
Good to know. What is your favorite thing to hear?
The sound of a global shutter.
What is your favorite thing to see?
Honestly, the children at the Dynamo game. They sign the autographs. They give them the shirt off their back. And when I look at those kids, it means so much to them. And even more importantly, when they see me, they say, that's the photo guy. Little 5-year-old kid begging you to take their picture, man. And he may not ever see that picture a day in his life, but it's the fact that he lines up, he stacks up just for you. Best thing in the world ever.
What is your favorite word?
Thank you. That's 2 words, actually.
Well, I like that. Uh, there's never anything. There's no wrong answers to this.
Okay.
I mean, really, I'm like, there's no wrong answer. So thank you is great. uh, if you believe in heaven, what does it look like to you?
What's the most important thing to a photographer?
Light.
There you go.
So great light is your heaven. If there's like a photographer that doesn't love good light, I don't know why you're a photographer.
Yeah.
Well, Michael, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today.
It's a pleasure, sir.
It was this was a great interview, and again, all of you guys that make sure you're signing up for the newsletter. Next time I send that, I'm going to make sure that it's a brand new link so we get all of our people that have signed up, and not some weird people coming in and making rude, obnoxious.
People, man, the people are miserable. Let them be miserable. They have a right to be miserable, man.
If you're gonna be miserable, go be miserable somewhere else.
That's right. Don't come here, man.
Don't take over my computer and put like all kinds of other stupid stuff on it. Like,
Yeah.
Once again, thank you so much, Michael. And
It's a pleasure.
we'll do this again. I'd love to have you on again sometime soon.
Just
Down the
let me
road.
know. I'll set that time aside for you, sir.
Thank you.
Check this out.